Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's show. Folks, we got a good one for you. First, let's talk about how the White House has responded to critics of its student loan debt relief plan and how they clap back on Twitter. Man, oh man, start pulling the receipts on Republican lawmakers. We'll have that conversation. Also, can we talk about the fact that we are seeing a growth in HBCUs, but the question that people are asking, or based upon David Banner's recent interview, he said that HBCUs should be the only option for Black students. Do you agree? We'll have that conversation. And then later on, folks, can we talk about, is R&B dead? Puff Daddy, or no, Diddy, yeah. Diddy posted that, talking about his R&B dead. It's a conversation that many people have been weighing on, but some of the two top tier voices of R&B, Usher and Brian McKnight, had a few things to say about the assertion from the hitmaker. We'll have that conversation and a whole lot more. Serena Williams wins her first match for the U.S. Open and a whole lot more. Stay with us. It's coming at you on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to today's edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy to connect with you today. First and foremost, before we start the show, I wanted to apologize for yesterday's, just abrupt dropout. I had an internet connection on my side of things. So I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to our Culture Crew members, Jules P. and B. Fly, for holding it down for the final few moments of yesterday's show so abruptly. Tried to get back in, but connection issues and everything else. But again, we want to thank Jules P. and B. Fly, and I certainly want to thank you for bearing with us. So again, I apologize for that, and hopefully today that will not be the case. But thank you to my fantastic Culture Crew on covering down when even a host sometimes misses out on things. All right, folks, make sure y'all stick around because today we got some great conversations lined up for you. This first one I wanted to talk about because I was finally happy to see that there was some sort of pushback on this whole conversation around student loans. Now, we could be critical of student loans, but let's not get into a place where we just outright lying as if people haven't benefited from some sort of government handout. This was the stance that the White House took when they, when critics, especially on the other side of the aisle, when the critics started to say that the student loan debt relief program, oh my gosh, it is going to affect millions of Americans. People shouldn't need to be relieved from their debt, blah, blah, blah. However, the White House got the receipts. And I'm so happy that they showed them. Now, before we get to those receipts, I want to welcome our Culture Crew for today. Of course, it's Tuesday, so we want to check in with Lise Winnie, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast, and my other sister, Iman Heath, who is an entrepreneur and a social justice activist and advocate. Lise and Iman, welcome back to the show. Always good to see you, sisters. How y'all feeling today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Ready to rock and roll. All right. Wait a minute.
We didn't.
We're not going to talk about it at this particular moment, but there's a lot of black girl magic happening right now with the hairstyles.
We didn't plan this.
Yes, y'all did. Yes, you did.
I swear we did.
Because conscious black women think alike.
Wow. I like that.
That's dope right there. Oh, man, that's dope. All right, let's jump right into it, ladies. The White House decided to clap back at some of its critics for the student loan debt plan that President Biden rolled out last week. There were a number of people who spoke out against it, including this person. I guess we got to say her name, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said that this thing was not fair. It's not right. It's un-American on all of those things. But guess what? The White House pulled the receipts on this. I want to show you first. Let's talk about what this whole process is and why it's important for us to even have a pushback on the conversation. It's just very simple. Holding people accountable, Lise and Iman. Holding people accountable, because even though you may not, we might go back and forth on how much, the fact is that people do actually need debt relief. People need to get a little further along. So the White House put this out via their White House spokesperson, Alexandra Lamana. She made the point that she said, quote, the reason that they started to pull the receipts on the White House is that they never hesitated to call out hypocrisy. We're not going to stop now. And she said she was asked about the tweets when she was asked about the tweets on Friday. She said it's important to make clear that many of the same people calling student loan debt relief, which will help the middle class and working families by giving them more breathing room, a bailout for the wealthy had no issue with loan bailouts that benefited their own companies, and no issue with giving tax cuts to corporations and the wealthy. Facts. Facts. Let's talk about this. How you going to get mad for people getting $10,000 or $20,000 debt relief? And we're going to talk about another piece about this because we got to talk about HBCUs, and I'm going to break down the cost for that. But here's one person. Here's what the White House. So let's put. If you haven't seen this like stream of White House tweets, is absolutely hilarious because they pulled the receipts. You got a lot of mouth, Republican lawmakers, to say that this is not right. But let's pull your receipts. All right, here's one tweet that the White House pulled looking at this. Let's look at Marjorie Taylor Greene here. She's the White House congresswoman, the Republican congresswoman. She's a real Trumper by all stretch of the imagination. She complains about the fact that she got that he's talking about 10 to 20,000. But according to the paycheck program, the PPP loans that was given to help small businesses in the time of COVID at the height of the pandemic, she received 183,504 in PPP loans that were forgiven. Mm-hmm. 183,504 PPP loans. Representative Vern Buchanan, he talks about how he worked his way through college. I don't know what year that was, but I know he an older guy. He worked his way through college. I know firsthand the sacrifices people make to receive an education. Biden's reckless unilateral student loan giveaway, unfair to the 87% of Americans. He had over $2.3 million in PPP loans forgiven. Lise, what do you make of this madness? This is a bunch of bull.
It's hypocrisy. I mean, this is what we have to deal with in this country now. Nothing makes any sense. Everything is politicized. And that's what we're seeing now. Republicans are starting to find ways to pull at this because this is going to give Joe Biden a boost. Like for Maps Media, we're doing like a special on student loan debt forgiveness relief. And when I talk to a lot of millennials, they were saying like, Joe Biden hasn't done a lot for me. The one thing that I can actually see that's going to physically benefit me is this. So at that point, you have a lot of people who are now going to push back because if he can actually deliver on a campaign promise and say, look what I did, this was historic, no other president has done this, you know, I don't know what Republicans are going to do. You have so many people that will benefit from this in some way, shape, or form. And we saw the bailout in 2008 when we bailed out big banks and automakers. We do this all the time when we help out people like the Lehman Brothers. Like, we've done this already. So the fact that the average Joe can't get help just shows where we are with capitalism in this society.
And it shows also, Iman, how people can come to your face and lie as if they haven't received some benefit from the same institution that they are highly critical of.
Most people don't want their secrets come to the closet. That's a given. Out of your 183,000 you got, we just asked them for 10, just 10. Those who are in power want to stay that way. those who are in power want us as like average Joe to stay in the wealth status, wherever that may be, that we are. To close a wealth gap, that will change economics in a great way. It'll change the lives of minorities in a huge way. This will be a big impact for majority of minorities from the statistics that we went through last week. But why would anyone who was a part of a capitalistic country want that? They wouldn't. So
Right.
I get why they would push back. It makes sense why they would push back. But yeah, they don't want to help the little people. Of course not. That's too much like right, Farajii.
Too much. Too much. All right,
Yeah.
Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, he had a tweet about this last week. He said, "We do not need ranchers and farmers, small business owners and teachers in Oklahoma paying the debt of Ivy League lawyers and doctors across the U.S. This places undue burden on those already suffering due to the weight of Biden's failed economic policy." Boom, he got $1.4 million in loans forgiven.
Yeah. The funny part about it is that they have a real short memory, and there's also a cap at $125,000. And most of the people who will get this, that get $20,000, are Pell Grants, which means that they didn't have any money when they went to school to begin with. So these are first generation students who are changing the outcome of their family. So the fact that he's talking about those, a lot of those people are teachers. A lot of those people are the exact same people he's talking about, went to school and cannot pay off the debt because of things from a Republican policy, which was the income-based repayment plan that was under Bush, which brought down the payment, but the interest rate was still high. So a lot of people had negative amortization on their loan and they were upside down. So they actually paid, some people have more in interest than the actual principal of the loan. We cannot sit here and pretend like this is not going to benefit the average American. Now, we can get into another conversation whether this is the solution. Yeah. I don't think so, but that's a conversation for another day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go take a couple of comments from our online culture crew. Folks, we appreciate you as always for joining the conversation. Hotep Pan Africa, you said the U.S. spends trillions of dollars on its pet projects, such as bailouts and tax relief. There's only pushback when it spends on the less fortunate.
When there's no return, when they're not going to get a return, or when they can't see a benefit on their end, yeah, that's absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the moment you start thinking about the middle class or the poor, the moment you start thinking about trying to bridge the gap, whether it's in wealth or any other resources or lack thereof, then there's a problem. You know what I mean? There's a problem. Corporations, we treat corporations, which are which are entities. They're not even human beings. We treat corporations with better respect than we do human beings.
Because there will be a return. There will be a tangible funds return. What they I don't know. I haven't broken down, haven't done the math, but what benefit would come from, as far as money, what benefit will come from helping the poor? Like what, any middle class? Let's just say middle class. What benefit?
And that's a great question. The only pushback I would say is, how about the poor is keeping this country up? There are more poor people in this country than there are extremely or wealthy people in this country.
They work at your Now, I'm not saying if you're a Walgreens employee that you're poor. I'm not saying that. But according to minimum wage, the poor are the ones who are keeping this country running, in a sense. When you pull up to Chick-fil-A, when you pull up to McDonald's, when you go to Home Depot, when you go to Walmart, those people that you have this pushback to, that you just don't want to help if they did get their degree, those are the ones that are helping you. You don't want to bag your groceries. You don't want to do self-checkout. You don't want to have to put the onions on the shelf. The people that you don't want to help are the ones who are doing this. Because granted, even after you get a degree, trying to find a job in that field, that's another thing. Them being black on top of that is another thing when applying for that job. Like it's so many variables to it. But yeah, help, just help.
That's all it comes down to. I love this. With Truth is Power, you said, and Marjorie Taylor Greene shouldn't be able to get any money anyway. Isn't she a millionaire from all the Friday the 13th movies? Because she played Jason.
Oh, Lord.
She is very, I will say she's very scary, especially when you look at the policies and what she's actually pushing, the narratives
Super
that
crazy.
she's pushing. She has filed in articles of impeachment against Biden.
Yep.
Like, these are things that she continues to do. And the fact that she's probably going to be there for a minute should scare everybody in America of what type of Congress people we have. And it's not even just about policy. It's about rhetoric and what she's actually pushing in the United States government. That is scary. So I agree. She wrote the script or something. Like, she had something to do with that, because it's frightening.
All right, I am me all day. You said we didn't ask for 10, they gave 10. We asked for full forgiveness. Yeah, I agree. I agree. The fact, though, I am me all day, is that people are still complaining just because we get a little slice of the pie. Like,
it's not even a slice. It's not. It's a piece of a crumb that is a piece of another crumb. It's the crummiest of the crumbs of the crumbs.
Right.
Well, let me play devil's advocate.
All right, go ahead. Come on, Lise. Come on, bring the devil into the conversation.
So at the same time, there's only like I think it's a very small percentage of Americans that actually, like 13%, that actually went to college and got a degree. So there's a number of people who didn't. So whether we know it or not, at some point taxes are probably going to go up. Now, is it gonna be specifically because of this? Probably not. It's probably gonna be a lot of things in there, but taxes are probably going to go up. But that's the same thing that happened anytime we pass anything like Social Security, the American Health Care Act. All of those things probably increased taxes a bit, but it actually helped put money back into the economy and people benefited from it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have Social Security because the people before them weren't able to benefit from it, or, with the American Health Care Act. So no, but I will say this, the $10,000 I think was initially meant for some of the older generation. So we're talking about some of the Gen X and boomers who have a smaller amount on their loan to pay off. So I think a lot of this was for them because they're approaching retirement. And if you can't live in retirement, we're going to have problems. And then also giving money back, I don't think this is the solution. If you see this little bit of money that they're giving each student is causing this much of a tizzy, and everybody won't even qualify because you actually have to apply for this. Right. So if you don't apply for it, you don't automatically get it.
Yeah.
I also will say that they probably should have made it an easier pathway for students to file bankruptcy. Therefore, the people who actually needed it can go and file for it and maybe create a separate chapter specifically for that, instead of giving this money out, because it's not going to benefit people who have $100,000, $50,000, $60,000 in student loan debt, all while you have kids going into college now who do not qualify for these loans. So you're saying these loans are problematic, but yet you're still giving these loans out to to different children, these same loans right now. Makes zero sense.
And let's not forget, Lise, that, and I saw an article today in the Washington Post talking about scammy schools, that you have schools that are putting these premium price tags on their education because they can. Because people believe, we still hope and believe and have this expectation that if you go to a certain school, you're going to get the highest quality of education. And when you look at it, it opens the door for this slippery slope. We're looking at the effect. But what's really the cause? The cause is that the tuition rate at some of these schools is so damn high. Like the person said, I remember when she talking about the rent is high. The tuition is so damn high at schools, and you're like, okay. And when we talk about HBCUs in our next segment, if it's too much. I was reading an article from the writer said, can you imagine 18 years old, you go through school, you get out 21, 22 years old, and you got $100,000 worth of debt. Yeah. And then so you're penalizing this. That's so much to put on a young person that's just stepping out into the world, just stepping out onto their own. And you're like, have a good life.
Oh, yeah.
But it's scammy schools. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these schools, I get it. Top notch to produce some of the great thinkers. But this is 2022. Like, You know what I mean? Like rent has gone up, food prices have gone up, gas has gone up. We know about all of those things.
It's a business.
Wouldn't these institutions want to have, okay, let's make this thing affordable. We'll put more productive people out into society. We can make America better. It starts with the educational system. But if you got a bunch of scammy schools trying to get over just as much as as a corporation, then damn.
No, it's a business. I think a lot of people think that because it's an educational system that it's not a business. It's a business. Even look at the way that they do their college or collegiate athletes.
Yeah.
It is a business. You see how much money comes into those schools. And then they cost too much. Of course, with inflation, schools have risen in the past 30 years, 169%. That has outpaced housing costs. That has outpaced the amount of credit card debt. It's crazy the amount that these schools actually charge. But we also have to think about how we value education and what should be free and what is necessary. There's a lot of degrees that should not exist. There's no way that you should need degrees in some of these areas. They shouldn't exist. Esports is now being offered at schools. That doesn't make any sense. We do need to re-look at and evaluate education, and employers need to be willing to train, because in a business, if you have a business degree, you shouldn't be sitting in a classroom. You should be working in business.
Absolutely.
That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And Coroner, you said there are so many scholarships out here that families are not privy to, nor do they inquire about them. One well-written essay for several applications can yield money. I've seen it happen for my students. You're absolutely right. And that's another part of it. Like a lot of the students don't and families don't know about opportunities like that. But it still don't negate the fact that we're talking about a cause and effect. The cause is, why is education so expensive in America when you can go to other countries? You can go down to Cuba, you can go across the water to Africa, you can go to, and these are places that if you're talking about medicine, you're talking about science, they provide top-notch quality education, but they don't rob, and in some places in this globe, they don't rob their citizens for education. And some people think that's so out of touch. And to your point, Lise, we getting too caught up in this whole capitalism business thing, right, in this country, that just raping the people of the resources. If the state or the government to say, look, let's start to lower education. I know some of you listen, probably, oh, that's socialism. I don't know what name you want to put on it. I'm just talking about what's just, what's fair, what's equal. That when you still have people who leave America, who travel to some of these other places to learn, and then they realize that getting a quality education there aren't that many challenges in some other places. They come into America, you got all these laws, you got all this red tape, it's crazy. And to your point, Lisa, the value of education, we act like the educational system in this country is so top tier, but yet we don't want to pay the teachers starting from zero on up. We don't want to give them no break. We expect, come on, man, it's mixed messages, bro. It's mixed messaging. And I think that's the wrong thing. Iman, you got the final word. What's your take?
Who could benefit the most? Where can my pockets go the most? I will hope that our teachers do get what they deserve. However, like you said, we don't live in a socialite country. It's all about where can my money grow, and that's where it's going to stay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, when we talk about education, I'm going to share with you some words that artist and advocate David Banner had to say when it came to HBCUs. I'll share with you what Mr. Banner had to say, and I'm just going to ask the question, do you agree or disagree? As he says that what should be the only option for Black students. So stay with it. That conversation comes up next right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
There's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I wanted to continue our conversation about education. Seems like education is one of the top discussions around the country. And today we wanted to have a different conversation as we're still discussing and processing the whole student loan situation. There's another element that has been brought up in the conversation by another high profile voice, activist and musician and hip hop artist David Banner was on a recent interview where he had postulated that Black students' only option for college should be for HBCUs. Now, I want to share with you the complete quote. First, when he was talking to the folks at the Griot, he made this statement. Check this out, folks. He said, "You don't see other races of people shipping their kids off to HBCUs. A lot of times, the reason why people don't go to HBCUs is because they don't believe in themselves. I really believe that most people want to be white and don't say it." Now, he went on to say that the people who complain about Black colleges, athletes dating white women, for example, are to blame because they sent their children to predominantly white institutions or white schools, PWIs. He added that if we made our children believe in themselves again, then HBCUs wouldn't be a consideration. They would be the only option as far as Black students are concerned. Don't agree. Don't agree at all. Let's bring in culture crew member Iman Heath. Iman, I definitely don't agree with this. I see the point, but I know I think I understand what he's trying to say. And I'm not going to try to, speak for him because he's a very articulate brother. But I think he's just oversimplifying the issue here. The issue is not that Black folks want to be white, therefore we go to PWIs. I went to a PWI. I went to Towson University in Maryland, Baltimore. So I went to PWI. And I worked at an HBCU. My wife went to HBCU. She went to Morgan. My brother went to an HBCU. I chose differently because, one, my PWI offered me money, more money. Two, the area that I wanted to study, they had a little bit further along at my PWI than I saw in HBCUs, right? Three, I didn't worry about the cultural side of things. I wanted to make sure that my education is going to be in line with state requirements and making sure that I'm in a certain space. Not to say that HBCUs don't, in Baltimore especially, we got Morgan, we got Coppin, outside of Baltimore, you're talking about Bowie. Not to say that these are terrible HBCUs, it's just what I personally wanted. And I did not need to be in a space where Black folks is all I saw. I grew up in Baltimore, lived up in Baltimore. I didn't need that. That wasn't my goal. So I personally don't agree with that. I think it's much deeper. I think there are a lot of other options. I mean, a lot of other considerations on the table before a person says, hey, let's go to an HBCU. What do you make of David Banner's comment?
So from his quote, the first one that got me like, what the hell are you saying? That most people want to be white? Completely inaccurate. What I will say is I believe that he's saying we want the white credentials or the white benefits. Let's say, for example, you're in a room with big wigs of a company and they ask you, what school did you graduate from? And usually those big wigs are white men. If you say I went to, I'll say I went to graduated from Morgan State, honors, it'll be okay. But if I say I went to Harvard or I went to an Ivy League school, it just sounds different. I think that's the part. When it comes to showing,
here's my take on that. Mm-hmm. Here's my take on that. What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong, me personally, but being on trying to look from the other side, it's names come with things. You know this, Farajii.
Exactly.
No names come with things. So even though I don't think any HBCU is a horrible school or you shouldn't go there, shouldn't be there, I don't think that we should only be limited to HBCUs. Okay. I do understand it would help as far as HBCUs and money, returning alumni, giving back. I can see that aspect, but I don't think we should be limited to it. Me personally, I wanted to go to a HBCU. I wanted to go to Howard. However, due to certain circumstances as far as money, University of Baltimore was much cheaper than going to Howard. So I chose a predominantly white school because it was cheaper. So it had nothing to do with the culture, but I would have loved to have that experience of going to HBCU.
HBCU. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing about HBCUs, right? It comes down to your personal preference, where you are in your life, right? If you want the quote unquote college Black experience, by all means, go to HBCU, right? If you want certain things like HBCUs is not beyond culture. We understand that HBCUs provide some of the top in terms of engineering, medicine,
and
networking. Right. But it still comes down to a couple of big things: money, You do have to, and here's the other thing. You spoke about network. You do have to look at, if you go to some of these other top tier schools, right, who your network will be, especially in particular fields. You got to be strategic. Now, I started my college career off in a community college, right? But you got to be strategic about your path. You can't just be like, it's one thing you'd be like, just go to college. But if you're trying to get into a certain field, you're trying to get into certain places, and Black people, we should be in a lot of different fields. We should be represented in every field. Your network is also going to determine, what do they say? Your net worth, right? And sometimes if you go to some of these other schools, you will be exposed to a much broader network of people that can take you and take whatever you're trying to do further along, right? It doesn't, I think my biggest point is that we shouldn't put limitation. We should support HBCUs. We should continue to advocate for HBCUs, but it really comes down to giving a young person options. And I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if a young Black person says, you know what, I want to see something different. If you go to a Black school from the time you were from elementary all the way up to high school, and you say, I want to experience something different, you shouldn't be shamed by that. You shouldn't be shamed. Oh, you want to walk away from Black people. No, I just want a different experience in my college career.
I agree.
That should be okay.
Younger me, first getting out of high school, I went to Chesapeake College. That is a community college on the side of Route 50 going towards Ocean City. Literally, the house we stayed in was literally next to a cornfield. I go out the backyard and walk, and it's a cornfield. Like, I look, and it's corn. It's corn growing right there. I can touch it. So then in the classrooms, and this is no exaggeration, out of 34 students, I would most times either be the only Black student or it'll be me and one other person. Younger me was like, hell no. What am I here? Like, I stick out like a sore thumb, but then it did turn into this, I want to say pride type of thing. Like, yeah, I am the minority in here. I am the Black representation. You're going to get the, not code switching, but you're going to understand and know that not all Black people talk this way, or not all Black people only have this limited amount of information. Like, when I was proud to be, it turned into me being proud to be the only Black person in the class because I represented us in a sense. So it really depends on the person's experience. But yeah, back then when I first started, I said, no, this ain't it. Why am I surrounded by white people? I almost had an anxiety attack. It's too much going on for me. Right. Now it's like, oh yeah, put me in the ring, please. Right.
And the thing is, again, I'm about options. I'm not going against HBCUs, but let's keep it real too. If y'all really want to have the conversation, let's have the cultural side of the conversation, right? Because this is the culture. When I've talked to people who have gone to HBCUs, everybody's HBCU experience is not all good.
Very true. People credits get messed up.
Look. Poor management of funds. What happened? Poor leadership in some cases, right? Of school resources. You got students who were, for example, my wife went to school all these years for one thing, and they told her, well, you needed more credits and all of this stuff. So she ended up graduating.
They told her the last minute.
I
remember Nira sharing this with me. Yeah, they waited the last minute to tell her that she had to take more classes.
She had to take another course, which led her to having a degree not in education, but in a different degree, liberal something. And she couldn't walk with her class, and because of the degree change, she had over 130 credits. And that's a lot of classes.
Those who don't know, that is a lot of classes.
A lot of classes. She graduated with damn near 200 credits. Nearly 200 credits. She went to an HBCU. You know what I'm saying? So if you're talking about, and I'm not saying that HBCUs, again, let's keep this conversation as proper perspective. I'm just saying that yeah, PWIs definitely has this issue. They had its diversity issues and all of that. But when we look at when people make those decisions, they got to think about all those things. Check this out. Here's the next piece. Keenan, let's post this other quote. This came from the Griot, folks. Check it out. Check this out. HBCUs. There are a total of 100 HBCUs in the country as of 2020. Of those 101 schools, 52 were public and 49 private. Of the students enrolled at HBCUs, 77% attended public institutions, meaning a state-supported school. This again draws the connection between cost and location proximity. Only 23% of HBCU students attended private Black colleges such as Morehouse, Spelman, and Howard. The tuition at those schools can be cost prohibitive. For the 2022-23 school year, a full year of tuition alone at Morehouse is $27,038. At Spelman, $25,880. At Howard, $30,584. Again, those amounts are just for tuition. They do not include housing, books, and other expenses, and travel back and forth between campus and home during breaks when the dormitories are closed. You're walking out of these HBCUs with nearly over $100,000 being in debt.
That's approximately $13,500 a semester. Meaning within a 6 month to a 4 month time frame that you have to pay. Who
in debt, right? And then we know white colleges, Hopkins, for example, I remember reading that Hopkins tuition is well over $53,000 to $55,000 a year, right? So we know that there's still that big disparity. But the point is that if you're talking about first generation college students, and here you got a first generation college student who said, okay, let me look at the HBCU option. Let me go to the PWI option. Okay, PWI say, all right, because of diversity, because of these incentives, you come to our campus, we'll cover 90%. HBCUs may not be able to match that offer. If you're first generation, who's paying for that?
Very true. A lot of first generation college students don't have that financial support.
They don't have that financial supporting and resources, right? Correct. Families don't always have it.
Co-signing a loan for them. They don't have that.
We don't have that. You're not, mommy, mom's is not going to put up the house.
Mm-hmm. Mom's credit.
If she don't own the house, is she renting the spot? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that simple, folks. And that's all I'm saying. It's just not that simple. We can't get mad at people for trying to make the best decision, because ultimately, what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to get a quality education, right? That's the ultimate goal. But there are so many different pathways on how to get there that it puts HBCUs in this place where can HBCUs, which are predominantly in the southern part of the United States, right? Most of your HBCUs are around Florida, Alabama, Georgia, predominantly in those areas, right? Does it work for a student to make that decision, a young person to make that decision? If you're in California, if you're in Chicago,
and now that you say that, yeah, out of state tuition. Listen, my little brother goes to Norfolk. Norfolk. Love y'all. Shout out to the Spartan Legion, the best band in the land. Anyway, the out-of-state tuition, it's one hell of a difference with in-state tuition. So you got to think about that as well. Then paying for you to be able to have the food you need, to have clothes you need down there. It's a lot of variables, and it literally takes a village. And not everybody has that village, especially as a first generation college student.
Yeah. And look, I want to talk about it because I think that we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot. We shoot ourselves in the foot. All right, folks. Now, some of you may disagree, and I know a lot of people are talking, but let's at least have some conversations about this. Truth is power. You checked in and said, that's why I say that as Black people go to HBCU colleges, because back in the days, you couldn't get in Ivy League colleges. Have pride in HBCU, UNCG, the Aggies. That's right. You couldn't get into them. And it's not about not having pride. It's not about not having pride. It's just simply
it's about having finances.
It's about finances. It's about what is it that you're, as a college student, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want out of your college experience? And that's what I'm saying. I think that a lot of Black folks in this country, we do entertain, okay, sending your child to an HBCU because you want to make sure that they have a strong cultural connection. You want to make sure that they have a strong identity and know their history. I think a lot of Black folks do have that conversation. But what is it that you're trying to accomplish? I know a little sister right now, she's getting a full ride at USC, University of Southern California. Full ride, Iman.
Because they're definitely probably getting the credit for her being a minority, so that's more money that they're going to get in return.
Getting a full ride. Do you? And I'm for a sister like her who has both father and mother in the house, who are both working. She's and she has options. Do you shame a sister like her because she decided to go to USC versus an HBCU? No, I mean, is that fair?
Yeah, no, I'm not turning that down. I don't give a damn.
I mean, seriously, are you going to? Would you get mad at that?
Graduating for free?
What you say?
Graduating for free? I'm gonna turn that down? That doesn't make sense. Be prideful in who we are. Yes, be prideful of African American accomplishments as far as even having HBCUs. Cool, I get all that. That's what's up. However, with reality, how can you pay? I believe I want to say UB was $7,000 a semester. That's way more imaginable than $2,000 a semester. So my student loan debt it's high. It's high.
It's high.
I would love the $10,000, but it's not out the wazoo because I chose to go to a school that I could afford, or it was tangible for me to pay back. Financially, it does put yourself in a hole unnecessarily.
Now, check this out. Check this out. Sophia, you brought up the point. I'm glad you did. Let's talk about it. You said, wait, Farajii, didn't a Black lady volleyball player get called the N-word at BYU? How often does that happen at an HBCU? Yeah, she did. And it probably doesn't happen that often. Of course, she's not going to be called the N-word. But if you're going into a PWI, then you have to prepare yourself for it. Now, we might not experience racism, but we might experience some sort of other violation that happens on an HBCU campus. And you can figure it out. You can look at the news. I'm not saying going to a PWI is perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just defending the fact that if a college student decides that they want to, be in a different space or branch out, or if they have a financial incentive, that we just shouldn't shame them for that. Culturally, fine. If you go to a PWI, you just got to be yourself. Here's the thing. When I went to a PWI, it made me study more and be more in touch with myself because I know I'm going to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to be called on. I know that people want to look at me a little differently. So guess what? I had to be rooted in my Blackness. I had to be rooted in my manhood. I had to be rooted in my knowledge of self. That's one of the things that you got to do if you go to a PWI. Will you do that if you go to an HBCU? Some of us might think going to an HBCU, man, everybody Black, everybody good. We all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be as prepared. And one of the things, it's like the opportunity. If you go to a private school, and some of us Black folks, we understand we go to a private school versus going to an all Black school. There were some things that we learned. Going to a private school, you might have been sitting, you might have been two or three of you in a white classroom, but you learned your Blackness. You know what I'm saying? It compelled you to be rooted.
Absolutely. Some people may have questions. You have to educate them on. Hey, that's some ignorant stuff you're saying right now. That's not how that goes. Right. This is how it is in our culture. We're just not eating fried chicken and watermelon. We're not just drinking.
And I mean, look,
we're not.
Here's the thing. We got to take a quick pause, Iman. But here's the thing. it's okay to get a little friction about it when you are tested and challenged. Like, how will you know who you are if you don't go through a test?
If you're always comfortable.
If you're always comfortable.
If you're always comfortable, how can you handle
and I know this is going to push back. Look at this conversation is going to push back. But if you always are comfortable, here's the other thing. When you get out into the work world, will you be able to deal with the onslaught of forces from white people?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that you won't if you go to an HBCU. I'm just saying, if we're looking at the pros and cons of both sides, right? And this is why, you know, we you know, part of me was a little bit hesitant to bring this conversation, Iman, because it will force people to question the value and the legitimacy and the great contributions that HBCUs make. Because now you put HBCUs in a box.
Mm.
If you were to talk to an HBCU president, we've talked to HBCU presidents and staff members and college leaders. They want to take HBCUs out of the box. They want to be seen as an international institution of higher learning that is rooted in Blackness, but the Blackness adds to all. So it forces now with this conversation, it will force people to be like, well, I just want to stay Black, boom, boom, boom. And then as a result, you know, you putting HBCUs in the corner, it's only for Black people. Because white people should go to HBCUs to have a better understanding.
Hold on, Farajii. But what's crazy, I can say, us as Black folk, if we see white people in HBCU, it's a little side eye a little bit, like, what you doing here? I've seen white drum majors at HBCU.
I know it is.
Me personally, I'm like,
but white people need to be reprogrammed too.
That as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, how is this going to happen, folks? How is this going to happen? All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's continue the conversation. I got so many people that's checking in. Let's continue. We're asking the question: should the only option for Black students be to go to the HBCUs? What's your take on that? If you agree or disagree, this is a question that was posed as a result of David Banner. I'm saying let college students have some options. Iman saying options. What are you saying? Join me in the conversation. Post your thoughts on our YouTube page and Facebook page, and let's continue this discussion as we take a quick pause right here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about Blackness, and what happens in Black culture. We're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to the second hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Folks, before we jump back into the conversation, first and foremost, we thank you so much for tuning in. But make sure you show your support for the work that we're doing here at Black Media at blackstarnetwork.com. Your financial support means everything to us because your support will ensure that we can continue to have the conversations and the programs. And most importantly, we can continue to tell our story like no one else. So make sure you go to our website, download the app for free, get all types of exclusives and all types of goodies, but most importantly, show your support for Black-owned media at blackstarnetwork.com. Folks, we've been having a very, very, I think, enlightening conversation about HBCUs as hip-hop artist and activist David Banner put it out there that the only option for college for Black students should be HBCUs. Now I'm asking the question, do you agree or disagree with David Banner's assertion simply because there are a lot of options for Black students to not just go to HBCUs, to private colleges, to PWIs. So the question becomes, well, what's the best option for students? Do you agree, though, that this should be the only option? Continue to post your comments. Folks have been checking in from all over, and we truly, truly appreciate that. And I'm enjoying, during the break, just reading some of the comments and seeing what my online culture crew has been saying. A lot of your experiences are mixed. And I think that's okay. That if you get into a space where you find you need yourself in an HBCU, you need that level of connectedness with other Black folks or other folks that look like us. If you need to understand your culture, that's all good. You should. But then there are some of us who already got that from other places. We got that from home growing up. We got that from the communities that we grew up in. I mean, we already got that level of those teachings. And so we wanted a different college experience. I had that. I'm gonna just put it out there, and I want to bring back my culture crew member Iman Heath, and activist and organizer and entrepreneur. But I had that. You know what I mean? Like, I've been around Black folks all my life. I'm a part of the great nation of Islam. I mean, I've had that. So, you know, that wasn't a driving force for me. That wasn't my motivation, you know, to be like, oh yeah, I need to be around Black people. I love Black people, and I've been around Black people all my life. I grew up in Baltimore City, folks. So it's like, I had that, but I did want a different college experience. I wanted to go to a college. And even beyond the culture, we got to talk about, we've been talking about the money. There's even beyond that, right? But those are the two driving factors, culture and finances, Iman. Culture and finances. People have been, hey, I want that connectedness to my people. And then other people are like, hey, but if that money is looking right at them PWIs, I'm going to read a book and go. I'm just go on campus and with my Malcolm X joint on. My message to the Black man, do what I got to do, but I'm taking advantage of that full ride. You feel me?
On teach them. I completely understand. And I was put into I went the opposite direction. I was forced into going to a PWI when I wanted to go to Howard, pledge Delta, play basketball, do this, do that, be around my people and have these parties, be a part of these parties and perform and step and all. I had a whole dream of what I wanted to do. And it literally went the complete opposite. But I was forced to do that. And I will say I am grateful for my experience now because I know how to navigate from both realms, being comfortable around my peers, and then also accepting myself and being comfortable with myself, being surrounded by a bunch of white folk. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel weird. I don't feel anxious. It's, if anything, I'm even more, and you know, Farajii, if anybody's proud to be Black, I'm just, it's Black, y'all, we Black, y'all, we Black, like Black. That's me. So being surrounded by a minority, it made me even more proud to be who I am out loud. So again, it varies on everybody's experience. My little brother, I needed him to go to HBCU because he's the quiet until he gets comfortable type. So I would have preferred him, which is just his personality type, to go to HBCU so he can be more comfortable, but also learn what he needs to not do when entering to the real work field. So like you said, it varies. It
varies. It varies a lot. All right, let me get some of these comments. Truth is power. You checked in and
they mad at us, Farajii. They are mad. They say your people on your mind.
Look. I'm not new to people being mad with me online. All right, that's not new. But look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm keeping it ultra real because the reality is that sometimes, and I get it, we have this HBCU pride, but this is called the culture, and I pride myself to having a platform where we can have some very, very uncomfortable and real conversations here, right? Everybody's HBCU experience is not out of do the right thing. Everybody's come on. Everybody's PWI experience is not something out of a movie, right?
Very true.
But Black students in particular have complained about issues at HBCUs. Not to say they haven't complained at PWIs. I'm just saying, if somebody says, I don't want to go to an HBCU, let's not act like they just committed blasphemy. Because sometimes, and I'm talking about, it may not be Howard, it may not be Morgan, it may not be Spelman. But some of these other ones, people feel like they've been taken for granted. They've been taken advantage of, right? And guess what? We got to call that out, because at the end of the day, it's like Black institution, any Black institution, whether you're talking about school, media, regardless, right? We as Black folks, we do ourselves a disservice if we don't try to make our institutions better by talking about the issues, by putting it out there in this open space, and then being able to say, all right, acknowledging that there are some things wrong, but also recognizing there are some good things that are happening. And by me working in, and I've seen this across the board in a lot of Black institutions, we want to put it out there that we're doing great. We handling business, but behind the scenes, the bullshit.
The Human Resources Office.
The Human Resources Office.
Human
The
Resources.
poor management and leadership. The bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And that turns Black students off. And you could be super pro-Black. You could be all in. And then your child, your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your grandson, your granddaughter, they go to an HBCU and they come home and they like, I can't handle this shit no more, man. I can't deal with this. Man, send me somewhere else. And you just, oh no. Because
you turned against your culture? Oh my gosh.
Because Black folks sometimes screw over other Black people. No, because Black people screw over other Black people in the name of education or in the name of, in some good name, right? And we screw each other over for the next generation to be like, I ain't dealing with that no more, man. Y'all can keep that. If that's Blackness, I don't want it.
Very true.
If Blackness is about being a part of some crazy ass clique, if Blackness is about discrimination, if Blackness makes me feel less than who I am, like just because I don't dribble the ball or catch a football, I ain't nobody to add. Come on, yo.
Am I going to be treated different because I'm not this descriptive type of Black? For example, I'm tall. Being tall, I was always pushed, play sports, play sports, play sports. Me personally, ball is life. I was turned into that. I wanted to march in the band. I wanted to be a majorette, but because I'm tall, you know, you a hooper. All right, I did it. Don't get me wrong, love basketball, loved it. However, I would have rather been dancing to the drums and the trombones and the trumpets. That's what I wanted to do. But culturally surrounding me, you can make money, get to the league, and you this, you that, blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't what I personally wanted to do when I was younger. I grew into it, but originally that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make music.
And that's the thing. And just your experience, Iman, speaks to the fact that even us in the Black community, we have embraced the narratives of other people about who we are and where we need to be in life. Oh, you need to be a basketball player because you tall. You need to be a football player because you can run fast. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we put that on other people. We put that on the children. We put that on some teenager, man. You need to go to the league. People like, man, I just play football because I love it. It's fun. But I'm really into tech.
Yeah.
Like you, if you notice, there's a generation of Black boys right now. My son is 9, all around like 8-year-old, 9-year-olds, and 10-year-olds. If y'all notice, and let's keep this real, they not into sports like that. Some of them are obviously. They into tech. They into stuff that is more cerebral. My son loves designing and he, building and he, talking about being an architect or engineer. They're more and there's Black men sometimes we be like, no, why don't you go out there and dribble that ball? And we propagate the BS of if you get to the league, you can make it. And naturally, our sons, our nephews, our grandsons, they want to make us happy. They don't want us to, they don't want to be us to be mad at them. They go that route, but that's not their passion. I remember the story of Snoop Dogg and his son. His son worked and played all the way up until he got into high school. And I think Snoop was like, because Snoop is a coach and everything. And he finally said, I had to have that conversation and say, Dad, I only played football because you wanted me to. And here he is. He's good, but that wasn't his heart, where his heart was. He said, I just played it because I made you proud. And Snoop said he had to tell his son, I thought that made you happy. But I just wanted you to be happy. And that's where we find ourselves. So I'm bringing that point up is because if a child decides to go a way that we are not accustomed to, in a way that we're not used to, or we may not understand, that doesn't mean that the child has gone astray. They just gone a different way. There's a difference.
They're expanding. They're putting the Black culture in other spaces. It's okay for a child to want to work for NASA and be the person to press the button when the rockets go off. It is okay for a child to want to study astronomy and find out where the planets lined up at a certain time. It's okay. Not everybody child is going to be a Michael Vick, a Lamar Jackson. It's okay. Just because your child is, especially males, is tall and like heavier, they can be more than a lineman.
Right.
They can do way more than that. Let's get out
just because, and to add to that, just because your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your grandson goes to a Big Ten school, don't mean they need to play sports.
Hello, we have to have this conversation with children. I'm not gonna say my children, I don't have any, but just the children that we are around. Talk to them. Just have a genuine conversation, especially in middle school. Middle school, I feel like those way more pivotal than high school. Middle school, okay, you feel like you have a little bit more independence. You know what you're getting to the realm of knowing what you do like, what you don't like, what you have a feel for. Hell, in 9th grade, I want to be an environmental scientist. I took that environmental sciences class in 12th grade. This is way too much math for me. I'm not doing this. This is not what I want to do. But we can't, or I'll say this: live our dreams through our children.
Come on.
Nieces, nephews. Just because you didn't make it to the league doesn't mean that you have to pressure your nephew or your niece to go to the league. That's what you wanted to do.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's go to the conversation that's happening online. Sophia, you said I'm from Texas, so when I see Black people, I get a little bit more excited talking about the value of HBCUs. I understand. Shit, out here in California, we only make up about 9% in Los Angeles.
Look at you, 9%. Okay. Representing for the Blacks.
I'm just saying. We only make 9%. So I get it. I totally get it. I definitely get it. I want to make sure, is it meet us who? You say, do you think HBCU representatives should be more involved in the Black communities or keep up the division? I think they should. I mean, I'm definitely never for division. So we need to be more involved in the communities, right? But here's the thing, and this might be, and I'm glad you brought this up, because the emphasis on HBCUs has always been more on culture than the educational programs. When you talk about HBCUs, you think about big bands, you think about the football game, you think about Black and pride and all of those, I'm gonna say HBCU pride, you think about, oh man, Blackness. But the emphasis should be on the programs, the educational programs. Not to say they all do that, but I'm saying HBCUs, people think of the cultural side of the college life versus the educational side. That you got HBCUs that are connected to some of the top, hospitals and medical programs in their respective areas. You got HBCUs that are in like Morgan and other places that are connected to like engineering opportunities like Boeing and some of these other engineering firms. So the conversation, the incentive, or rather the pitch, is to be around more Black people. And I don't know where that's got started from, Iman. I don't know whether it was from the students themselves or from the school, but that seems to be always be the pitch.
Maybe it was Drumline. Nick Cannon might have persuaded the culture to believe that.
And that's another point. Yeah,
that could be it. It definitely
that could be it.
It could have been.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna see more. Hollywood has always positioned HBCUs as this mecca of Black cultural and Black intellectual thought, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. Hollywood has played on our view of that. Absolutely. A Different World. I remember watching A Different World. That has done more. I think A Different World play has done more for HBCUs than a lot of things, because it showed the love and the connection and the bond, right? It showed all of those things. It showed the Black college experience to be a very rewarding experience.
And more than just partying and drinking all day and all night. They had conversations and that kind of.
You saw Black excellence when you watch A Different World, and on a college level. You know, lawyers and doctors and stuff. Yeah, they got funny characters, but at the end of the day, they were excelling. And I think that was big. So I think there needs to be a conversation about that. Koina, you brought it up. You said, I went to Florida State with FAMU right next door. Our Black Student Union was very strong and engaged on campus. We also had the most Black students of all the public PWIs in Florida. Exactly. And in some of those states and some of those areas like Florida, Black folks, we congregate with one another. We connect with one another, especially in like state like Florida, which is so, you know, you might have Black folks here and a few Black folks there. But that compared to the rest of the state, and I wonder what the Black population is in Florida. But if you go into a college campus and you around a whole bunch of Black people, of course you're going to be like, yo, this joint is lit. Because why? You happy to see your people. I am me all day. You are doing a disservice by sharing, mischaracterizing HBCUs. I don't know. I am me all day. If you're speaking to the conversation that we having, I think that, and here's another thing that I'm gonna push back on. We can talk about the things the HBCUs can improve upon. I mean, this is Black Star Network.
Let me pick up on this real quick. You're doing a disservice by sharing, mischaracterizing HBCUs. So we're not saying that all HBCUs are this way. We're not saying that all HBCUs have to change or adjust their process of what they do, may not do. However, our problem in the culture is that we don't want to call ourselves to the carpet. We don't want to say out loud, hey, this is an issue. This needs to be fixed. We don't like to, I guess, I don't want to say embarrass our people because it's no embarrassment, but if there's an error, it would help our culture if we actually address it rather than just act like, well, they do it too. Don't just point the finger. You can point the finger, but also correct your own stuff too.
It's like that whole conversation. If one Black person, we'd be like, oh, well, white people do it. Doesn't make it right.
It doesn't. It doesn't. If anything,
it don't make it right because white people do it and they get away with it. We do it. We get penalized for it. The fact is, it ain't right.
Exactly.
If a college is not treating, say it again, Iman.
I said, if anything, when you point the finger, it will motivate you to say, all right, let's fix this. So that's one thing they can't say that we do. They do that over there, not over here. So that should motivate us to want to fix the problem.
Right. My man King Lee checking in always, and King Lee is one of our loyal watchers and supporters. He said, right on, brother. I saw my sisters and my late brother go through hell with the private public HBCUs they attended and graduated from. Thanks for bringing facts and passion. I mean, we gotta have a conversation. I didn't bring this up. It's brought back up because of what David Banner said. But we do need to have, to your point, Iman, we need to have this conversation because why? We don't want to make it seem like going to HBCUs. We will do ourselves a disservice if we paint the HBCUs experience as all being all this fluffy gold stuff. And it's not. It's not. We expect to hear that from PWIs because we read the stories, oh my gosh, the racism and all of that. But HBCUs may not be racist, but it still has problems, right? And if you put it out there, if we're Black news or we're Black network, we're talking about Black issues, then this is the proper place. This is the best place to have a conversation about the ups and downs of our institutions. What other place would you have a conversation like this about the reality of HBCUs, the ups and the downs, the triumphs and the trials of being an HBCU student? You won't see that anyplace else. If we don't have the conversation here, then where are we going to have it at?
And I'd rather be in the house than outside, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'd rather be amongst us rather than we be put on Front Street with them.
Right. And guess what? When HBCUs are under scrutiny, when we see them being talked about by NBC, CNN, and some of these other networks, right, where they do 2-minute conversations about some misallocation of funds or this happened or that happened at the HBCU, we can come to the conversation and say, okay, let's look at this situation. Here's what I'm getting at. if any one of you had a bad HBCU experience, it's hurtful because it comes from one of our own. And I'm tired, personally tired. I know you can probably feel this, Iman. I'm tired of black folks always screwing over other black folks, but then we want to keep it on a hush because we don't want to put other black folks out there. As if all black folks are thinking in the best interest of all the black folks.
Farajii, that starts within our culture as blacks, even at home. If uncle is one of those uncles that touched one of the nieces and nephews, we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about it.
Come on, man.
It literally starts at that right there is connection to how we are at home.
Fact.
If uncle or auntie was molesting your cousin, let's not say nothing. We're not gonna talk about it. To hell with that at Thanksgiving table. Hey, listen, this, that, and the third happened. Don't sweep it under the rug. We have that problem in general. Not just when it comes
in general. And guess what? We're never going to stop having that problem unless we bring it out to the open. We gotta have this conversation from a place of love. I want us to move forward. I want our institutions to win and to thrive.
Absolutely.
Right? So if we got people in leadership positions who are black, but they taking the money, that's a problem for me. Because you're killing not only are you just doing a disservice to those students, but you're undermining the foundation of that institution where people don't want to deal with you no more. You see what I'm saying? That's how far and deep it goes. You know, with black folks, Iman, and you're an entrepreneur. If a black entrepreneur has a higher standard to meet with black people more so than white people, because it only takes one time. It only takes one time. We've been robbed we've been robbed of so many good experiences, whether you're talking about in the school setting or some business setting, that we really don't trust each other. So when we hear about stories about some issue at an HBCU, some of us be like, well, you know, you got to give us a chance. But a lot of us be like, man, please, chance. They took the money. They did this. They did that.
Mm-hmm.
There was an issue some time ago with some of the black students. I think it was at Howard. They talked about the condition of the dorms.
Yeah.
Why? If we keep it real, let's keep it real. Why would you put black students in a dorm, right? That don't meet the housing code, that don't feel safe, that can open them up to health issues? Why would you do that? And you're a black person sitting in the leadership.
But let's be quiet though. We don't want to. We can't look bad at company.
Because I just want to put this out there real quick. If we don't set the agenda amongst ourselves on how to treat ourselves better, then who's going to set it? If we allow people our own to screw us over, say, man, well, how are we going to talk about the white man?
We can't look bad. We can't look bad in front of company. That's our problem. You know how when you have company come over, you gotta hurry up and clean up. You gotta hurry up.
We know his history. That's the part. The part is we know his history. But you're a black person. You come into a leadership role. You talking about the growth and the benefit of black students. You talk about having pride in your blackness. But then you send the students are suffering. They can't get good books. They living in squalor. But you talking all that blackness to us. But the students protesting, the students rising up, the students, their voices are silent. Nah, dog, this is 2022, baby. Nah, You're doing a disservice, because now not only are you just doing a disservice to those students, right? You undermining us to believe in black leadership. And that goes deep, man. That's the last thing we need, is black people screwing over other black people in the name of leadership. Please,
it only goes on because we allow it. It's allowed. We don't call it out.
And it's enabled. That's why these schools are hurting. So you're killing the institution's future because of poor leadership, poor management. And so students don't want to come to a HBCU. After Freddie Gray, there was a rise in attendance at HBCUs from 2020 and 2021. Not Freddie Gray, I'm sorry, George Floyd. From 2020 and 2021, we saw HBCU attendance. They got so enamored, they got so pumped up, like, man, we got to do something, we got to do something. Why would you screw them over? These young Black people that want to do something, they want to be a part of the community, they want to add to the culture. And then you send them into a situation and you got Black leaders who going to screw them over. Man, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. All right, look, I got to take a quick pause, man. I got to take a quick pause because me and Iman here, we just going, we got to take a quick pause. We're going to bring Lise back into it, all right? Look, stay with us, folks. We got a lot to get to in the final few moments of the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We got a final few moments in today's show. Man, oh man, such a great conversation. We'll continue the conversation on social media. Make sure y'all follow me on my social media platform. If you got something you want to say, get it off your chest, you can certainly follow me. I'm open to it. Hit me up on my IG at The Real Farajii, The Real Farajii. You can find me there on Twitter, Farajii, Farajii. You can also hit me up on Facebook at Farajii Muhammad. I'm open to the conversation because I stand on what I say. Feel me? I'm not going to run from it. So I stand on what I say, but importantly, let's have these discussions so we don't have this very fantastical view of reality. We need to have these conversations, folks. We need to have these conversations because why? The future of Black people, the future of Black America depends upon it. The future. So if you want to join me in those discussions, let's have it. Again, you can see all my social media. Keenan, please put my social media up there on the lower third on that banner there, brother. And let's continue to have the conversation about this. And of course, we'll continue to have the discussions about this because this came out of David Banner's view, and I'm sure he's still getting some pushback on that. I don't agree with his view, but that's his opinion, and that's all good. But we will certainly continue to have the conversation about the value, the importance of HBCUs. All right, I wanted to end the show on a different note. And I want to bring back Lise Winnie, who is the host of a Millennials Anonymous, and Iman Heath, our culture crew. Lise, I know you had to jump off, but I'm so happy you're back here. Big conversation that we had about HBCUs. I don't know if you want to comment on it.
I kind of agree. I went to both. So I have a unique perspective, but I'm not gonna get into that right now because y'all already made them. They heated. So
if you went to both,
don't run from the smoke.
I'm just saying. I'm giving you the final word. I want to give you the final word. We can move on, but I'll give you the final word.
I agree with you. I don't think that we should Black should only go to HBCUs. I think that it depends on you want to go and where the culture is. I think that we need to have a bigger conversation about what is Blackness. Like when Iman said she was tall, people said you need to play basketball. I was saying in the comments, like, imagine being an awkward nerd, like not really fitting in, like you like history and, science and went back. When I was in school, that wasn't the cool thing to do. That's just not what you did. So I felt like I actually didn't fit in. I tried, but I didn't fit into what the culture should. I'm not going to say which school, but I just felt like I didn't fit in. So I think that we do need to be more inclusive with education, and it's really going to depend upon how and where. And the only way we can change some of these other institutions is by being in them. So I agree with inclusivity.
Yeah,
I'm on the same page.
I definitely agree. All right, let's have another quick debate that has been sparking online. Now, I've been watching the progression of this next conversation that has stemmed from hip-hop producer, Mr. Super Producer, Mr. Dancing Your Videos himself, Diddy, who has put it out there that R&B is dead. He said this. Now, he clarified his statement about R&B. Check this out. Now, he initially said this, and we had to kind of do some editing on some of the language, so we need to include certain things. But here's, Keenan, let's show what Diddy initially said. He said the R&B music, the R&B I made my babies to. R&B got to be judged to a certain thing. It's the feeling, though, doggy. No. It's a feeling. You got to be able to sing for R&B, and then you got to tell the truth. R&B is not a hustle. That shit is about feeling your vulnerability. He continued, you got to cry. You got to be able to get your girl back. I don't want to hear all this bullshit. It's our fault for accepting anything less for anybody getting on a mic. I feel like that there was a death of R&B singing, and I'm part of bringing that shit back. I ain't feeling no emotions. Is R&B dead?
R&B is dead. R&B is paralyzed. R&B, listen, nobody, men, and I'm going to go ahead and say men, nobody singing in the rain no more. Ain't nobody doing this for Lord Saint no more. Nobody's at the window begging their girl to come back. Everybody is so heartless, F you, I got another chick on the side anyway, I got to line up, I don't need you this, I don't need you that. No, I want you to cry. Cry about me. I need to see that you hurt and you upset. I want show emotion. It's okay to be vulnerable. It is all right. If you want to leave your girl a 2-minute voice message about how you can miss her, then throw Boys to Men on Bend the Knee at the end of it. Listen to me. Write that down because there goes some game for you. We want that. You don't want Tory Lanez, screw you, I got the next chick, blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't want that. Cry. It's okay to cry.
Yo, you know what made me think of this Lise Mario song? I can feel your heart.
See, that's R&B, and it's fairly recent. I mean, first of all,
what's your take? Is R&B dead?
I'm not gonna say that it's dead. I'm gonna say it's evolved. Okay, so I think R&B has changed. I think we've gone through the phases and emotion, or maybe I should say it's devolved because we've actually gone backwards a step. But now that all the kids are into hip hop and R&B, that's what it's gonna be. That's what R&B is gonna sound like. I mean, Diddy's son, or what Diddy or Love? I mean, is he going by Love? I think he Love now.
I don't know. I just
Love
call
made-
I mean, let's call him Love Diddy, Diddy Love. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Combs, his son said that he created R&B, and I said, huh? What? No. Why? How? So I think that they don't realize that
his son said that his son created it or his father created it.
His father
Diddy created.
Oh.
He created R&B.
His father created
which was
R&B.
funny. Right. Right. So I think they just don't know. So when they're creating R&B music, they got to pull from what they have. And what they have is this new, I'm going to hit you in the face. Like, it's not the same kind of like, oh, we not in love no more. Okay. Like it's a whole nother genre of music, but I think it's just different. That's what I'm going to say.
All right, look, let me just tell you. Hey, look. We want to take a poll right now. We got a poll. If you go to our YouTube page right now, there's a poll that's up on there. We just asking, is R&B dead? We got people that's checking in. Let me know. We got about like 12 minutes before the end of the show. Let us know if R&B is dead. Here's what. Now, it's interesting because I was like, damn, we didn't really talk about this sooner, but I'm glad we didn't because two R&B titans came out to respond to this. Usher's came out. Let me just share with you what Usher had to say. Let's go. Yes. Now, Usher is Mr. R&B. I think we all can agree that when Usher sings a song, he gonna sing that song, right? He gonna sing it. But Mr. R&B came out. You say he can try.
I said he be crying. He be crying.
Oh yeah. Usher in the rain singing.
He had a whole confession.
We need a confession.
He all up in that jump. All right, so he said in a recent interview, he said, when I hear people say stuff like this, what happened to R&B or R&B is dead, it's not. You just don't understand the basis of it. He said, how can something come out 20 some odd years ago and all of a sudden have a resurgence in a way that people just want to talk about it, sing it, enjoy it? He said, R&B is timeless. It ain't going to go away. So when I do hear people even like Puff saying R&B is dead, he sounds nuts to me. It sounds crazy, especially knowing he was a pioneer in understanding and beneficiary of it. The source that is R&B created the breath of life that was breathed into hip hop. It wouldn't be. There would be no hip hop if there were not R&B. So it's blasphemous to hear people say anything, especially hip hop cats, to say anything about R&B. Ouch!
So let the church say amen.
Bishop Raymond, we're not saying that R&B, sir. We're not saying R&B ain't starting.
Give her the full screen. Give her the full screen, Tina.
We're not saying R&B didn't start this or start that. We're not saying R&B just it has had an issue with existing. Yes, R&B is timeless because we can listen to songs from 2005. That's true. We can listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire in them. That's true. However, the feeling of R&B, the like you said, vulnerability of R&B is dead. You cannot deny that. Other than all we want to talk about having sex or going on a date, what else is there to R&B currently? Like Lee said, it devolved and it's now back, in my opinion, back to just this really either sexualized or F you, I'm moving on type of soundtrack. Like it's Summer Walker. I will say her recent album, she talked and expressed her feelings, how she felt in her position being a fourth baby mother and what she went through. Like, talk about feelings. Mary J.
Iman, we love, black folks, we love pain, man. We love when singers are on the track. Pain, showing their pain. That's why Mary J. Blige that's why Mary J. Blige is such an icon.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like the dancery Mary, right? You know what I'm saying? We want we want that Mary.
I'm not gonna cry no more.
I'm not gonna cry, but I am crying, Mary.
I'm tired of you. I want it to smell like pine sol. I want it to smell like I'm pissed. I'm frying chicken and I'm cleaning the house. It's not.
But isn't that Jasmine? Jasmine Sullivan is that. Like, she gives you all of that. She is R, and that's why R&B is, to me, is not dead. It's just different. Like, those girls and guys are out there. We just don't give them the same airplay. They exist. They're
Jasmine
there.
Sullivan.
The women got it. The women got it. I think it's the men who.
I would agree. I would agree.
It ain't. There's no more nay who's. There ain't nobody nay who's.
Hey, look. The women got it. We can name them right now, Lise. Jasmine Sullivan, SZA, her, Summer Walker. Those sisters right now, they putting their pain out on that track.
The beautiful chocolate one. Ari Lennox.
Oh yeah, my sister Ari Lennox. Ari Lennox. They putting their pain out there. But see, here's the thing about the sisters. The pain is, and this is why I think a lot of guys are pushing back, because the pain is F these dudes.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not true. Jasmine recently sung a song about how she messed up with the one she really wanted to be with. Come on, we're not all saying F you, we outside, whoop, whoop, whoop. That's not the case for women. All of us are upset and popping bottles. Some of us do cry in the bathroom.
All right. Folks, continue to post your votes on on the YouTube page. Is R&B dead? All right, let's go to some of what our wonderful online culture crew members are saying. Quentin, you said R&B is dead because these mumble and gangster rappers killed it. Drake. What are you talking about? Did they? I wouldn't say they killed R&B. They probably gave a couple of punches to hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't know if they killed R&B though.
But R&B, unfortunately, they birthed them. If without R&B, you don't have mumble rap.
Right.
Them.
Well, check this out. Here's the question then. All right, speaking of R&B, mumble rap, trap soul, what is that? Bryson Tiller.
You trapping and you sensitive. You sensitive while you trap. So that's
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me bring my face closer to the camera to understand what the hell you're talking about. Say it again.
So basically, you sensitive and you trap. So you slang, but you sensitive about it. Yeah.
You're a sensitive thug. That's what women like. Women like sensitive thugs.
Yes. Yep.
Guess what? There's no such thing.
I'm gonna be quiet on that part.
They have feelings too, you know.
They have feelings.
Thugs need okay, Iman. Thugs need a hug. Okay, all right. I'm gonna whip this dude. I'm gonna shoot this black man, but I can't express how I feel about you, girl.
Right.
You don't like my music. Hey, look, you don't like my music. You say R&B used to stand for rhythm and blues. Now it's this schmaltzy, whiny, overproduced garbage. Just my opinion. Nah, man. Like, if you're talking about schmaltzy, whining, I'm thinking of Keith Sweat. Ouch. Keith Sweat. He did some whining.
He did whine. He created the whining. Like, y'all, nobody. Like, he did that.
You got Keith Sweat. Genuine. But Genuine these are like 30-year-old artists. You know, these artists from 30 years ago. Like from the 90s.
The only one that I can think of as far as the man that came to my head was Giveon. I will say
Giveon now. Yeah, oh yeah. His old Giveon got like a Paul Bunyan voice. You know what I'm saying? Just real deep.
We missing. I will say that we don't have a Lenny Williams of our day. We don't have a man that's gonna get on a record for 7 8
Wait a minute,
minutes
hold on,
and
y'all.
cry. He cried for 8 minutes.
No, wait. First thing. Y'all women are phony. You know why y'all phony? Because you don't respect no man crying for 2 minutes. You talking about crying for 8 minutes.
That's not true.
Look, this is what y'all would say today. Man crying over for 8. Just give me one more chance. Yeah. You be like, come on, Negro. Come on, bro. Come on.
He said he cried until television went off.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's what he said. That's what he said. You don't know my hurt. You don't know my hurt.
But first
you don't
thing,
want to be hurt.
Hold on. You still got Chris Brown, who is always putting out a 60-song album. Chris Brown, he will take you from the club to the bedroom to the chapel, back to the bedroom, take you into the rain, back to the bedroom.
I feel like he in the bedroom majority of the time. I'm over. Like, I'm.
Chris Brown can take you there.
Ways you're gonna take the girl panties off. Like, okay, we get it. We understand.
Yeah, Chris Brown will take you there.
Please.
Chris Brown.
The panties is off. What's next? Like, what else? What else?
You're right. The men is struggling. You're right, Iman. I feel like the men struggling. I feel struggling.
Hey, look, hey, Lisa Iman. So Diddy asked on a line Justin Timberlake, to name, because Justin Timberlake, no, R&B is not dead. And Diddy said, well, name me 5 artists that don't use auto-tune that's good for R&B. Justin Timberlake could not respond. And he said, boom, that's why I say R&B is dead.
We can say Mario. We can definitely say Mario.
But Mario, and look, there's no disrespect to Mario. He a Baltimore native. But when was the last song you heard of Mario? From 2016?
That's not the point, Farajii. That is not the point. The point is...
No, I'm serious. And I'm not, this is no shade. I'm just talking about his music. I'm saying, like right now, if you had to name 3 male R&B singers, I would have to say right now, it's probably like Giveon, Chris Brown, and...
Tank just dropped the album.
Okay.
Tank just dropped the album.
Okay. I was thinking of my man Maxwell, but you know, Maxwell comes out every 10 to 12 years.
So it's hard, but I will say that auto-tune has been used for a while. Like, so a lot of the singers that we didn't realize were using auto-tune were using it. We just couldn't hear it until T-Pain came. And then that's when R&B really started to go a little bit.
That's a variation of R&B, but that's not even like, I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest with you. Brian McKnight said this. He said that that music is getting to a space of being genre-less, right? Like we can't put it in this box, and we shouldn't put it in this box anymore to have R&B artists, for example, because it's genre-less. And when I think of T-Pain, I'm thinking of like, I don't know what genre. Is he hip-hop? Is he R&B? He you know what I'm saying? It's like, he talking over the track, he's rapping a little, I mean, his words sound like a rap, but then it's like...
He's whining. He's whining. Like, let's just call it what it is.
I don't know if he would be a singer, though. He doesn't come across to me as a singer. He came across more...
He can sing.
T-Pain, give him an Usher song to cover. Oh, T-Pain gonna sing that thing.
Yeah, he was on the Tiny Desk. Remember, he said he can sing, like, seriously, he can sing for real. But I will say that
his own lane, though. I think T-Pain made his own, introduced us to a different lane of R&B.
I agree, and I think that what the genreless music, I agree with it, because a lot of the genres were created, I think, in order to divide racially. Because when you look at the difference between R&B and pop, it's very blurry, and a lot of the times it depends on if the person is dark skinned or black. And then it's like Beyonce is pop, but you know, Rihanna, they kind of mix her. No, they say Rihanna is pop, she's still a little bit lighter, but like a Jasmine Sullivan.
Yeah, she R&B.
R&B.
Yeah, she's not pop at all.
So it just depends.
It's the sound. It's the sound. I mean, going back to what one of our culture crew members said, you know, rhythm and blues. So yeah, it could be a little jumpy, but then there's that blues side, right? Like it's like 2 dynamics at play. You got rhythm and you got that blues. But I mean, I think it's a slower tempo. You know what I mean? You can't. It's a different sound. Let me say something. People are tripping off of my sensitive thug. All right, Jawan, at that, you said sensitive thug. question mark and laughing emojis.
Rod,
that's Iman's favorite type of guy. If y'all don't know Iman Heath, that's her favorite type of guy. She loves to hate sensitive thugs.
Wait a minute.
No, she has a tender-hearted. There you go. He wear cardigans and Timberlands. That's what she's looking for.
Wait a minute. No, that's not what I want. I want you to be mean to everybody.
Except you. That's all. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to talk about. Y'all want a dude to bust the dude in his mouth if he looks at you wrong, but then give you flowers
and rub my feet. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got so much work to do. Rashida, you said that is the stupidest thing I ever heard a sensitive thug. A sensitive thug will be in jail rapping his R&B song to you. Wow.
Yep.
I know what you're talking about. She's talking about R. Kelly.
Ooh.
Wait a minute.
Well,
what? I said something wrong? He the king of R&B, right?
I don't know how to feel.
I don't know.
I hit y'all. Y'all like, oh, wait a minute, hold up, bro. I don't even know if I should laugh or.
I'm not sure what to do. What we doing right now?
Here is our look. Check this out. Ming Lee, Natasha Serge, you said you were responding to our other sister and loyal Culture Crew member, Lana Latham. You said it does seem like an agenda is being pushed because that music is causing young Black boys to kill each other on a regular. Talking about hip hop and R&B, where we're seeing it right now. But R&B right now, I seem to believe, based on our little quick poll, R&B dead. 62% of you said no. 37% say yes.
So send me your R&B playlist, please, because I'm missing something. I listen to.
We got to remember, and folks, maybe we need to quantify this at least in terms of time period. Like, what are we going to say? We can't talk about the last 30 years. That's too big of a gap.
Okay.
Too much. Yeah. So we can say the last, 10 years, the last 5 years?
I'll say 5.
Yeah, 5. I think 5 is good. Yeah.
Woo, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a real tough one.
I think we can do it. I think we can. I'm going to make a playlist. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. A playlist with current R&B music.
Male and female. Because I feel like I know more. Like I feel like I know more of the sisters. Like I'm hearing more sister voices, which is powerful. But then I'm hearing a little bit less. Like I remember when Trey Songz was hot. Chris Brown again, he was still hot. Like I said, Maxwell. We talk about Tank a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I love Raheem DeVaughn. Raheem DeVaughn will give you that real R&B.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite male artists.
He said he's the king of R&B. So I mean,
I
absolutely not. He's a participant in R&B, but not the king. He's definitely a participant.
He's in the court. He's a prince.
No, not even that. But let's go a little bit lower because
he's a knight.
We can try that. We can try that. He's the knight of R&B.
We talk about Giveon. So Giveon, he's making his way to it. But I feel like we have to do a little bit more thinking and digging for males. But for women,
don't ask me right now. I gotta do some research.
Right, you gotta do some research.
I think we can come up with a list.
I think women are out there more. I think women are way out there more.
Absolutely. I think people who saying that R&B isn't dead still listen to Jodeci and Boyz II Men. We're not talking about them. Like,
no,
not talking about
too far
not
back.
talking about that. We're talking about
Yeah. That's a good point. Good point. Yeah, Jodeci, like I don't even think of any male groups. Like, remember back in the day, there was like Mint Condition, Jodeci, 112.
Tony, by the way.
Tony. Like, there were male groups. I don't even know who the R&B groups are for the day.
We don't have any right now.
Ain't no.
I don't think we have any.
Ain't none. I think B5 was the last ones. I think they were the last.
You said who?
B5. No.
No.
No, it's okay. It don't even. It's all right. We going. We going. They were under Diddy. They were a part. They were a production of him. So
I like them. I actually like them.
I did too.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I ain't talking about
And
this.
Day 26, he had them too. What they was?
He had Day 26.
Day 26.
They were the last.
Right. But there aren't any R&B groups right now. Male R&B groups.
Not mainstream.
Genuine Tank and who's the other one?
I was trying to think of the other one too.
You talking about LSG?
Think of the name the other day.
Yeah, aren't they?
They were supposed to be in a group. Tyrese.
Keith Sweat. It was Gerald Levert, Keith Sweat, and Johnny Gill. They were
no, Farajii. Let's bring your brain.
I'm just letting y'all know LSG was hitting it.
They was hitting it. They were. That song.
They killed the game with that. My Body song killed the game.
Not that. We're not talking about them, Farajii.
I know that. I'm just
the future a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
It was Tyrese
and Tyrese. Yes.
Oh, Tyrese.
Yeah.
Tyrese should be on the list, but he wouldn't. He hasn't dropped the song lately.
He's an actor now. I think.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Jamie
can sing.
Actually, singing. He said that singing was actually his first love before actor.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx, that man.
Jamie Foxx.
He can sing.
Yeah,
Jamie is awesome. I like Jamie.
Yeah, I like Jamie. You know what I'm saying? I think that we need to hear more from him on the music side. But I think
it's coming. I think he's going to drop an album soon. I feel like he is.
So the consensus is that R&B is not dead.
It's just different.
It's just different. It's alive, but it's just moving different.
It's like the clone of.
It got COVID-19.
You said it got COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. R&B has COVID. Yes.
You got some fun. You got some wild jokes today, Iman. You know that.
I'm not laughing. It's on the respirator. R&B needs help.
Wait a minute. So you sound like R&B is almost dead. It's almost dead.
I feel as though yes, it needs help. It needs nutrition.
Right.
It needs some CMOS. R&B needs some CMOS. There it is.
Hey, y'all, I think we're going to end the show right now.
Okay.
When Iman start talking about how R&B needs CMOS. Come on, Iman. Come on. R&B needs some Tylenol right now. R&B look worn out. It needs to. Jesus, take the wheel of R&B, please, because right now it's been on Ambien all night.
It needs some Flintstone vitamins. That's what it needs. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Well, we will see. We will see. People are pushing back on it. Folks are saying it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get some more R&B offerings this year from some of, I know Chris Brown dropped his new album, but it will be interesting to see what the rest of the year holds for music in terms of that space. But R&B groups, now that we talked about it, the lack of male R&B groups is really interesting. We used to always at least have one in every
missing the matching outfits. He missing them.
Yes. Boy bands are still hot. Look, boy bands are still hot. If Boyz II Men started touring today, they would be sold out in every venue.
You think so?
I agree. Even though Deep Voice is gone, I agree. I agree.
People love Boyz II Men, man. We just had this love for them, man. They legitimately can sing, and they were so classy about it. You know what I mean? They weren't just like knocking boots type guys. They were just like slide in real easy. Like, no, baby, let me hear you.
And they got lingerie you got on. I'm admire this teddy, but it is gonna come off rather than just take it all off. Let's get to it. Like I'm done.
But they understood the science of mating.
Mm-hmm.
You got to work your way into the situation. You can't just go in there and like, yeah, shorty, I'm a lock. No. How you doing today? When they came on the track, be like, how you doing, baby? That's when you see the women side. I'm good though. I'm good.
But that's not what girls
They want what they want.
All right, y'all, let's end the show. Yvonne, you know when the dudes be like, girl, he looking at you, he gonna probably say something. The moment that a dude get a woman laughing, it's game is over. Be like, how you doing? How you doing, baby?
How you doing, baby?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, can I get to know you a little bit better? You be like, oh, that's where you get that line. I mean, you've been running through my mind all day long, so I know your feet are tired.
Oh, Lord.
That's what women do. They start laughing like, that is so cheesy. So what's your name? All right. I appreciate y'all. Hey, appreciate y'all. Lee Swinney, host of a Millennials Anonymous podcast. My sister Iman Heath, who is an entrepreneur, activist. Ladies, thank you for making Tuesday so great. Thank you for being so good for the culture.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to my online culture crew, for all of you who cast your vote about is R&B dead. Oh, my gosh. Well, we'll see. We will have to see. But there's definitely some help. It needs a little bit of help. All right, folks, make sure y'all continue to support us here at Black Star Network. Go to our website right now. Download the app for free. Get more for your bang. And for your dollars, support us right now at blackstarnetwork.com. We can't have these very serious and yet these very cultural conversations without your support. So go to the website, download the app, tell your friends and family about it, share the content, and continue to show your support. Also, make sure y'all follow me on all social media platforms at The Real Farajii on IG, Farajii at Twitter, and Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with y'all, continue the conversations. And I want to thank all of you for being a part of the discussions today. Whether we agree or disagree, folks, the fact remains we got to talk about it. And guess what? The place to do it is right here on the Black Star Network. Stay tuned. Up next is RMU, Roland Martin Unfiltered, with my big brother, Roland Martin. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.